When a mom is pregnant, her hopes are so high because she is carrying a beautiful baby. It's hard to know whether the child is a bouncing baby boy or it's going to be a girl. Now, how about if the story changes? When you have a child who was not in your mind, because each and every mother has got a different child in the mind, hoping to have a bouncing child, a happy and healthy, and above all, you're waiting to be called mom. What if the story changes and it's never what you're expecting? Welcome to Inspired Hands Ministries. I'm Juliet Kogwalo. Inspired Hands Ministries, this is a platform whereby we give people with disability to express their feelings, to express their experiences. We share their journey, their failures, and their success. Today, I have my guest, and she's a pretty lady, a very beautiful mother to a son who is having cerebral palsy. Without much further ado, I'd love her to introduce herself and tell us more how it feels to take care of a child who has a CP. Fridah, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to Inspired Hands.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making it in time. Actually, I was so scared. I never knew that would show up, and I really appreciate you coming. You introduce yourself to our audience so that they will know who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my name is Fridah. I'm mother of three. One of them happens to have cerebral palsy. That's my firstborn son, Ethan. I'm also an entrepreneur. I specialize in providing toys for children with special needs, such as my son. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years, in addition to taking care of my family.
Oh, nice. If I may ask, were you inspired you've mentioned that you sell toys specifically for children who have disability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you inspired to do this business because of your son, Ethan?
Definitely,
Oh.
yeah. When he was born, he had, besides having cerebral palsy,
Right.
he had a condition known as cortical visual impairment. His eyes could see, but he was not able to interpret what he was seeing. So the doctors told me that's not a condition that's treated by medication. I had to do intervention. And I remember when we took him to a certain hospital for eye therapy. The much the therapist could do was apply olive oil on his hands and massage him.
All right.
And when we left there with his dad, we were like, I don't think this is what's supposed to be done, because his eyes can see, but he needs to be trained. His brain needs some training.
All right.
To interpret what his eyes can see. So I took it upon myself.
Right.
Thank God for the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I did some research, and
Mm-hmm.
I found out that there are ways online that I could that there were some things I could do.
Yeah.
Like, for example, presenting him with colorful toys, or with
Alright.
music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would turn off the lights in the house, and then present a toy at the table.
All right.
Make a very colorful one,
Mhm.
and light a torch, do imulike directly to the
Directly
toy.
to that object.
And then he'd focus on that.
Okay.
I do that for days. At night when we went to bed, I'll hold up a tablet besides the bed and just make a cartoon,
Oh, okay.
have the cartoon playing.
Mm-hmm.
That way we were able to now train the eyes to see that, to recognize things and to respond to the environment around them. So in the process of trying to find these toys and these products and materials, I couldn't find them locally. So I tried searching, they were not locally available. Sorry. So I had to import. So in the process of importing and realizing that this is something that really I can do as a business, because there are many other parents out here. Because besides cerebral palsy, there are other forms of disability. There's
Right.
autism, there's
Sure.
Down syndrome,
Mhm.
there are plenty. So, and these parents need materials to
Yes.
help their children. So
Yeah.
that's how I ended up here.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
If I may just take you back a little, how did you notice that this child, the eyes are not well? What really made you to get to that point?
I remember there was a time a friend of mine had a birthday
Yeah.
for her daughter.
Mhm.
No, sorry, her own birthday. She was turning 30 at the time.
Yeah.
So, and we had delivered our children at the same time,
Mhm.
actually weeks apart.
All right.
So I expected that now, since they were the same age,
Mhm.
their development would be the same.
Yeah.
So when I visited her, her child was very active. We'd even call her, she was Lisa. Lisa, she'd play. And then I realized, hey, Ethan doesn't
Like
act like this.
It's not that quick.
Yeah, actually that was my realization that something must be wrong with Ethan.
Mhm.
So when I realized that there's so much this girl could do that my own child could not
Can't
do,
do.
yet they were only weeks apart.
Mhm.
And I had to act fast because at that time we had not visited a professional to diagnose him,
Mhm.
to maybe put a name to whatever it is he was
Yeah.
going through. So that was the time I realized that there was an issue that needed to be addressed.
Oh.
Yeah, because I went back home. I even bought a toy the following day for him.
Mhm.
I'd check it in his eyes. He couldn't follow it. Couldn't follow
You
through.
couldn't follow like
He didn't
a normal
have.
kid.
Yeah, the interest
Does.
was not there.
Okay.
The eyes could see, but he couldn't follow any objects.
All right.
So that's when now I realized I needed to do something.
At what age was this?
He was 4 months.
Oh, 4 months.
Mhm.
Or you noticed the issue early enough.
Mhm.
Great. I love that part that you took so much, you were so focused and you noticed, wow, my child is not behaving like this other child.
Mhm.
No, Frida, I know every mom, it's the dream of every mom to see your child stretching, laughing, jumping up and down.
Mhm.
Now can you just let us know how you felt when the doctor told you that,
Mhm.
you know what, Ethan is different?
Yeah.
Yes, how did the news get to you?
It was it wasn't easy to accept because I think we were a bit prepared for it because of the conditions under which he was born. It was, let me take you back a
All right,
bit.
okay, feel free, ma'am.
It was a case of prolonged labor. So in the process, there was lack of oxygen to his brain, which now caused damage to his brain. And that's how cerebral palsy most of the time happens.
Mhm.
When a developing brain suffers some sort of damage,
All right.
it's not able to develop like a typical brain, a normal brain. So
Normal brain.
in the process, so now for him, when we were leaving the hospital, because when he was born,
Mhm.
he had seizures.
Okay.
So he had to be put in the newborn unit for 7 days to be put on oxygen.
Mhm.
So when we were leaving the hospital, the doctor told us that because of the way he was born, his brain might need some help
Okay.
picking up, like unlike other children who just
Yeah,
develop
like,
normally.
yeah, normal.
Yeah, so we were a bit ready for that. We just didn't know the magnitude of the issue.
Oh.
So when we eventually visited a neurologist
Yes.
for his diagnosis, he
Okay.
told us that there are 3 levels of cerebral palsy according to the medical people.
Mhm.
There's mild cerebral palsy, there's moderate, and there's severe. So the doctor told us that our son could be somewhere between moderate and mild. So because of that, his development might be delayed. Yeah. So that's how we found out. And now when now he put a name to
Mhm.
what we already knew, we just didn't know what it was
Oh,
called.
you just didn't know
because
the name.
yeah, for these 4 months before we visited him, we could tell that something was wrong. We just didn't know what it was. So for him to now eventually put a name to it,
Yes.
it was bittersweet because now at least now you know what's happening.
Yes, exactly.
But also you don't want this to be your child, So it wasn't easy. Yeah.
How was the reaction of the dad, knowing that, fine, my baby is here, but
Mhm.
the development is going to be that slow? What was the reaction?
His dad is a very positive person.
Wow.
He's very optimistic. So he'd be like, Ethan atatembea, Ethan will be fine. Like within 2 years hata tutamtafutia shule, he'll go to school, he'll be like every other child. It might take some time, but he'll get there. So it was actually my main source of encouragement because for me as a mother, you know, women, we overthink, we tend to go all the way
It's natural,
with our thoughts. So he was very encouraging. He really encouraged me a lot to just keep pushing, keep taking care of him, keep praying, and all will be well.
Oh, because I know most of men or even ladies, it always takes time for you to just accept the reality that this is what is here, and actually I have nowhere to run to because the situation is here with me and I have got nothing to do about it. And if I may just, how did you feel now you're breaking this news to your mom or to your relatives and you're telling her, yes, I had a boy, Ethan is here, but yes.
Yeah. My mom would say, I'm sure there's a medication somewhere. The boy is a daktari. There's something. Hata shindano atadungwa, he'll be fine. You know, I'm sure there has to be something.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Have you visited another doctor? Don't settle on one opinion. So my mom was like, no. There has to be something. There has to be something you can do about this. So I remember she's even the one who paid for our first sessions because when we were now discharged at the neurologist, we were told he needs therapy to manage his situation. So my mom was like, let me even pay for that therapy. How much is it?
How much?
Yes, within 1 month we'll be fine. You know,
Wow.
She didn't know much about the condition at the time. So even my in-laws, they didn't know much about the condition, but they took it positively because, you know, we were told as much as this is what the child, this is what the condition we're working with, there is hope for improvement with therapy. So we're working with the hope.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just, it blows my mind because when you're expecting 100%, then it comes 10. That's a very big gap. And taking care of a child who is disabled, you as a mother, you have to take care of this kid. You're always there for the baby. How heavy is this burden? How heavy? Because I know there are people who don't know how heavy it can mean to be.
It's very heavy. It's heavy on you emotionally,
Yes.
physically. Right now, Ethan is 20 kgs, and looking at me, kumbeba, it's not that easy. So it's heavy in all aspects.
All right.
Relationship-wise, it affects the way even you relate with your own friends, mentally, financially. Because especially the financial bit, because there's a lot that goes into taking care of a child with special needs.
Yes.
There's medication,
Right.
there's therapy, there are diapers.
Yes.
Ethan is still on diapers even at 8 years. So it's very heavy.
Yeah.
But one thing I know is we all have our crosses, and I think this is the cross that God gave me. And at some point, I didn't want to accept it. I was in denial, but I came to a point of acceptance. And we keep pushing every day, one day at a time.
How long did it take you to accept, like, fine, the cross is here and I have to carry it?
Let's say about 4 years. It took me about 4 years. When now I had my second one, she like wiped away my tears for the first one. I was like, after all, we have another and she's good, so at least there's hope, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you're only sitting there in the house looking at your son all day, you don't see much. You don't, I don't know how to explain it, but you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel when it's only the two of you day in, day out.
Yeah.
And for him, he had this kind of, his pattern wasn't that normal like ours, where you are awake for 12 hours and then you sleep for 12 hours.
Yeah.
For him, he'd be asleep for like 14 hours. And then he'd be up at night. So he'd wake up at night 7. Now he's starting his day.
Now the day starts.
When everyone is going to bed, so now you have to be up taking care of him. I remember there was a time we stayed up for all night. We slept at 8 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was just awake, active.
Mm-hmm. For him, it was a normal day, just like any other. So you have to feed him, you have to bathe him.
Mm-hmm.
So it took some time for me to accept, and then also God.
Yeah.
Before Ethan, I'd say I knew God. I went to church religiously,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a deep relationship with God. But then after Ethan, the more people came to pray for us, the more people encouraged us, the more I decided to know, let me find out more about God. Let me know, you have to have something to hold on to, you know. So that was my biggest like that was the way I was able to now accept Ethan. Yeah.
Great. I can, because I can relate. There's a period of time I was going through hell, and the situation was just worse. And I asked God that, God, are you for real? Have you reached a point where during that period of denial, that 4 years of denial, did you reach a point where you're telling God, you know what, God, your will is really hurting me? Did you reach to that point?
Yeah, I did. You know, in this journey of acceptance, there are levels to it.
Yeah.
There's like, let's say the first stage where you now find out what you're dealing with, and then you're in denial for some time because you want to say, this is not me, things will be fine. You know, you want to be positive about things, and then the more years go by, you realize I might have to deal with this issue for a while. Like, this is now the life I'm living. So that's where now the acceptance starts coming in. But before now acceptance, you're dealing with that issue of there was a baby I had in mind.
Yeah.
There was a life I had in mind. But now it's been put on hold, and things like life has taken a different trajectory that I didn't anticipate. And that's when now you start asking God,
where are you?
Where are you?
Uko wapi kwa hii story?
Ulikuwa wapi Ethan akizaliwa? You know, I thought I prayed that day. See, niliomba, you know. See, I go to church. I think I'm a good person, you know. It's not like, hey, you don't deserve these things, but you find yourself asking questions because we all want our lives to be smooth, which is not the reality. We want everything to be perfect in life until you realize it doesn't work like that. Yeah, for me, I had those moments of depression. I'd say I went through a dark period of my life. I don't want to call it depression because it's a bit heavy. I know that people who've been really depressed and it's been bad. But for me, I had a very dark period of trying to figure out how do I cope with this, you know? How do I now live life knowing that this is our new reality?
This is the reality.
And for me, I was putting myself in Ethan's shoes. I'd be like, hey, 4 years, hujaongea, 5 years, you've never even called me mom. You don't even know how to express yourself. For me, I was putting myself in his shoes, and I realized it was hurting me the more I did that because I could never change this situation. Only God can. So I tried. I realized I just need to be strong for him. You know, putting myself in his shoes was not helping. So I realized the best thing I could do was to now just be strong for him and for myself and even for my family.
It's just mind-blowing how you took things after accepting, like you say, you know what, this is the thing and I'm going with it. And if I may just take you back, there's a point you say that it affects even how you relate with your friends, with even the co-workers. How did your friends, did they start separating from you, or did they say Fridah siku hizi anakuanga busy, kuna vile tu, like they start giving lame excuses because they don't want to associate with you, they don't want to do anything with you?
Okay, one thing I really thank God for is that He has given me a really good support system, from my family to my friends to my neighbors. Everywhere I go, my friends have been really supportive, super supportive. Yes. I really cannot complain about that. They understand him. They understand our lives.
Yeah.
They understand when they have parties and we cannot attend because I have to be there for my son. They understand when kuna mchango and maybe I'm not able to contribute because I have
burden of taking care of the baby.
So they've been super supportive, and I'm really grateful for that.
Oh, wow. Fridah's friends, thank you. Keep it up. Just keep on supporting her, because sometimes we go crazy because of the things we are going through. And life can bring so many things at the same time. So the siblings, how do they relate with him? Do they say like, why is our brother not doing this? How are the siblings relating?
For the siblings, the second one is only 5 now.
Yeah.
The last one is 1.5. So the last one doesn't know much about Ethan yet. But for my second one, she knows Ethan is different. I remember there was a friend of hers who came to visit last week, and was like, I realized the cowboy was all the time, "Anaangalia Ethan." He's like, anakaa anaangalia Ethan. Everyone is playing, but he's staring at Ethan. Then eventually he asked, hey, Kolise, why is your brother like this?
Why is the brother silent?
What is wrong with him? My daughter was like, Ethan is just like that. For her, she was unbothered because that's how she was born, knowing Ethan. You know, she's never known a different Ethan, and she doesn't know that there's, you know, like for us, when you're grown up, you can tell when there's something not normal with someone else, you know. But for her, she knows this is normal. This is normal. So she's like, Ethan is always like that. Ethan is wachana naye. So she knows. Okay, for her, she doesn't know that Ethan needs to do something else. This is the Ethan she knows.
This is the Ethan that I know.
Yeah.
This is my brother.
That's my brother, and that's how I found him, and I love him as he is. So like for Ethan, at times he tends to like maybe you bang the door, or when there's some loud
music
or noise outside. So she'll be like, "Wait, unashtua Ethan, stop!" You know, she knows how to take care of him.
Oh, so sweet of her. But don't you think that the society need to embrace that attitude of the sister, that that's him, that's normal for him?
Yeah.
Because the society has got this attitude like,
you spot anything different, and
we are running away with it. We want to spread it everywhere.
Yeah.
What does the society think about? Let's be specific about mothers who have children with disability.
Hey, especially our African society, we are called all sorts of names. Okay, for me, I'm grateful. I have not encountered stigma in that manner.
Yeah.
But I know moms in my circle who've separated from their husbands because of cerebral palsy in the family, because the in-laws are like, is there kwetu, you know, and the process, it creates friction in the family, in the marriage, and divorce happens. I know moms who've had to quit work because the boss is like, you're always asking for ops, for days off. You see, for these special needs children, they need therapy. They need medication. They need to visit hospitals, checkups, clinics, everything. So like in a day, in a week, you need like 3 days to take your child for therapy. Like for us, therapy 3 days a week.
3 days a
so
week.
Let's say if I had a 9 to 5 and I have to ask my boss every other 3 days, I need to take my child for therapy. Eventually he'll be like, you're becoming a liability to this company. I remember there was an incident a lady was telling me about. She was trying to ask for a day off for her child. They needed therapy that day. And the boss was so, I don't know what to call it, but he didn't understand at all. He told them, go to that doctor, let him write a letter, bring it to me, and I can stamp. I need to know you're not lying to me, because you're always going every time. Where do you go? So she had to go bring the letter, and even after bringing the letter, he was like, so hii ndio itakuwa kazi kila wiki, utakuwa mnashinda hapa off kazi, leave. So eventually the lady had to resign because the boss was totally not ready to understand. And that's what happens in the society of today. we don't want to accept that these issues are there. We don't accept that we have differently abled people in the society. We find that if there's an interview happening and if one of the people shortlisted is visually impaired,
Yeah.
chances of that person being heard are next to zero.
Yeah.
Because people don't just want to deal with the burden, they're like, sasa tukimwandika, how will you manage, but you don't realize that this person also has needs. And they need this job.
Exactly.
So it's happening everywhere, from the mothers to the even the children, the adults, the grown-ups. Stigma is everywhere.
Wow.
Mm.
Like, before she goes on, I just want to ask you and plead with you, can you just learn to extend grace? Just learn to extend grace to people, because people are going through a lot. The burden is too heavy that when they go out and still experience that burden, it's not wise. Let's just learn to extend grace to others, because at one point or the other, we are also disabled in a different way. Now, Fridah, if I may just ask you a quick one. How is church? Have you ever gone to church? Have you ever taken Ethan to church? Or do you have an environment that you feel this environment is very conducive for my child? We can go with him whether it's an event, or you've never, because of the feedback?
Actually, we had that fear for a very long time from taking Ethan outside. But recently, I grew out of that fear, and we've actually been attending church.
Wow.
And it's been good. So far, so good. The stairs are no more. Everyone's stairs, which is, you get used to it. But I'm happy that we're now able to move around. But the only issue is mobility. For him, he's on a wheelchair, so you're not able to go to many places, because you have to ask yourself if you'll be able to access that
the venue.
Exactly. So for us, we're able to go to church. That's the much you can do for now. He's not attending school yet. He's at home. We've not gone to functions yet. So that's the much we're doing.
Great to know that you're making efforts maybe to take him to church. I know the world has not yet become that inclusive as much as we are advocating for them, because the buildings that we are having, you find that they are stairs, story building, but they don't have the ramp, or they don't have, some don't even have lifts. So you find it's become so hard, another burden to these people who have disability to access such places. But I'm happy that you're trying your best and taking care of her. So is there anything you can tell mothers who are also struggling to accept the reality and just to change their perspective about disability?
There's a lot I can say about that, because I've been in this journey for 8 years, and I wouldn't say I know it all, but there's a lot that goes into being a mom to a child with special needs. And for me, my strength comes from God. Timothy, 2 Timothy tells us that for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. 3 things you take from there. Power. So you have the power to overcome anything. Anything that comes your way. Don't be put down. It's normal to feel disappointed, discouraged, to feel like, this is too much for me, heavy burdened. But if you're reminded that God has given you the spirit of power, you have power over everything, you can overcome it all. Just keep drawing your strength from God. He's given you a spirit of love. Love this child, because we have issues of mothers and even fathers abandoning children, especially because they feel like it's too much to bear. They feel like, I'm not strong enough for this. We've had so many people, moms travel all the country and dump their kids there with their grandparents. There's a sad story of a child at home, back at home where I come from, who was tied to a tree for 10 years of his life. Every day they wake up, wanamfungilia kwa mti, they are off to work, wanafanya shughuli zao, they come back, the child is still there. Rain or shine, mtoto wako hapo. So remember when the child died, after no, mostly due to complications because now the mistreatment and everything, they didn't even have a picture of him. Ile imekangwa kwa casket.
Yeah.
You know, the preacher was like, for 10 years, you've never even taken a picture of this child. And that's what's happening. And it's happening everywhere. That, you see, for you to do this to your child, you not only have not accepted that child, but you do not love this child.
Yeah.
Because love overcomes everything.
Can say that again.
Yeah, love overcomes everything. So God has given us a spirit of what? Power and love. Love your child. When you love your child, you can do anything for this child. In fact, you'll be trying to, you researching everything, going everywhere just to find out how can I make my child comfortable? How can I make my child enjoy life as he is?
Yeah.
Whether he's blind, whether he's deaf, how can I make my child live his life to the fullest? You know, I need to see this child blossom. I need to see this child thrive.
Yeah.
If you have love within you, you will do anything for this child. Like for me, I was working before I had Ethan. I had to quit because I just had to, you know. And that's what happens most of the time. Yeah. So the third point is a sound mind. You've been given a sound mind.
Right.
And this is coming from God Himself. He has given you a spirit of a sound mind. What does this mean? It means you're able to make decisions based on the strength that God has given you. You're not making decisions randomly, exactly. You have a sound mind, so you're able to think, you're able to reason that what's right for my child. What do I need to do for this child? What are the resources that I can make available? Because you're your child's advocate. If you cannot advocate for your child, who will? No one will come from the streets and tell you, do this for your child. Nani wako. So you have a sound mind to make decisions that are right for this child, to make sure that this child has the best life that you can offer. And this includes education.
Right.
You see, there are so many parents who are denying their special needs children education because they feel like ni ya nini, akisoma alafu atapata kazi. No, for us we think education is all about getting a job.
Get educated,
so
what's
the point? For them it's what's the point? Kuna haja gani? Kama ni therapy, we go to therapy every day. Ya nini? Inatumia pesa nyingi. If it's medication, medicine is very expensive. So when you realize that you have a sound mind, tumia akili yako. Don't wait for anyone to come from wherever to tell you what's good for your child. Na wewe ndo unajua what your child needs, because you find that children with special needs have various needs. They're not all the same. You find that a child with autism or a child with visual impairment or a child with deafness is not the same with a child with cerebral palsy. The needs are different. Find out what your child needs, find out what's good for them, do your research. There's a lot of information out there. Hakuna excuse by the way. For today, there's no excuse. Go online, YouTube, TikTok. Find out what you need to do for your baby. Ndio at least akwe na ile life hata unasema I did my best. Don't just sit there and wait for things to vitu ziko mbaya and then you're like, I should have done this earlier, you know. So that's what I'd like to tell my fellow parents with special needs children, that know your child, know what they need, and then draw your strength from God. If you're spiritual, that is, and the rest God will handle. And also accept your child, accept how you feel about them. Don't be in denial, say, me I'm strong. And then one day you just come crashing because you've been trying to sweep all your feelings under the carpet, and then you do something horrible. You've seen moms even commit suicide because of this, and even going crazy, literally. We've seen parents who've lost their minds. So it's seek counseling if possible, and share your story. I've realized there's power in sharing. The more you share, the more the burden is taken off you. So share, talk to people, and all will be well. It's a journey of hope. That's all I can say. It's a journey of hope.
Oh, great. I just love that part that you're so positive and you get your strength from the Lord. Like that part is just 100% sweet. And if is there any group you can recommend for people who, parents who have children with this CP? Do you have any group that you always sit together, you discuss, you share your experiences? Maybe my viewers can join those who have children with disability.
At the moment, I'm in a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
If you want to join, you can contact me.
All right.
Yeah, I'm in a WhatsApp group, and then we also have within the group we have activities. Like let's say last year during Cerebral Palsy Day, Cerebral Palsy Day, we had an event at Karura Forest to just commemorate the day and celebrate our children.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the much I can do for now. And then for parents with autism, children with autism, there's a lady called Sylvia Mochabo. She does a lot of awareness on special needs issue, and speaks for children with special needs. So we also have a CBO of parents of children with cerebral palsy mainly, where we right now in the process of making plans to do caregiver training, because we realized that there's a gap in caregiver training. You find that when a child, when a mother or a parent has a child who needs extra care, they are not sure how to handle the situation. So we realized it's something that needs to be done. Parents need to be taught on how to take care of their children, because you find we have accidents happening every time because they don't know how to handle their children. There's choking, children are even dying because of choking. There's over medication, there's under medication, feeding. Everything is something that we've realized that we need to train parents on how to handle children, especially with cerebral palsy, because they need extra care. So we have that CBO. If anyone would be willing to be trained, get in touch with us also. Besides that, we also run Angel Straight Touch. We specialize in providing toys for children with special needs, educational, sensory, anything that can aid in the development of a child. We provide. Even therapy equipment. We have also set up sensory rooms, therapy rooms for hospitals, for institutions. We are located at Kasarani, opposite Shell Petrol Station. You can get in touch with us.
My people, you've had it all. If you want all these things that you need for your child who has disabilities, specifically, right? CP, contact Fridah. I'll put her number down there. So if you want to contact her, you can as well contact me so that we can engage together. We see how we reach her. Dear viewers, I really want to thank you so much for having time to listen to us. I believe that you've learned the way I have also learned about the CP. Now, this episode would have not been complete. I want to thank my crew who are working behind the scene, and this episode would have not been complete also without Africa Magic Studios allowing us to come and shoot this video here. Now, if you want to come to Africa Magic Studios, please, they are located along Lumumba Drive, Thika Road, Roysambu. They take nice pictures, videos, and